The British ocean liner RMS Lusitania, well known for its lavish accommodations and speed capability, primarily ferried people and goods across the Atlantic Ocean between the United States and Great Britain. On May 1st of 1915, the Lusitania, one of the world's fastest ships to ever cross the Atlantic, was about to leave dock from New York City for its 202nd trip across the Atlantic. The 1,959 passengers, 159 of whom were American citizens, eagerly awaited their arrival at Liverpool. On this morning the ship departed and set sail, secretly holding contraband and artillery in her hidden cargo holds. Most upon this vessel did not know of this secret, but Germany had their suspicions. Since the outbreak of World War I, ocean travel was known to be dangerous, because any German submarine was ordered to fire at any ship against them, even if they were unprotected. So its government and military officials ordered that all ships sailing towards Great Britain shall travel at top speed and make zigzag movements, in order to hopefully and maybe successfully outsail German U-boats. The RMS Lusitania had followed orders until May 7th, when she was about 14 miles off the southern coast of Ireland. The fog was too strong for the captain, William Thomas Turner, to see, so he ordered his crew to slow her down and travel in a straight line. In doing this gave the German U-boat, the U-20, a perfect target for their all-ready torpedo. At 2:10 p.m. the Germans fired the torpedo and hit the ship directly on its starboard or right side. With this one torpedo, another explosion went off, and in 18 minutes the ship was completely destroyed and sunken. 1,198 people were killed. Of those 1,198 people, 128 were Americans, and 4 out of 39 babies and 35 out of 129 children also died too. When President Woodrow Wilson of the United States received the news, he was persuaded to enter the war. In 2 years after the sinking of the Lusitania, and soon the Sussex, the U.S. was fully involved in the war. On the day of May 7, 1915, Woodrow Wilson was informed about the sinking of the Lusitania. He immediately denounced the sinking of the Lusitania as unforgiving hostile terms, and demanded that Germany pledge to never launch another attack on citizens of neutral countries, even when traveling on French or British ships. The Germans accepted Wilson's demand at first, but only temporarily. Newton Deal Baker, a member of President Wilson's cabinet in the War Division, came to him to deliver the news.
President, may I have a word with you?
Yes, Mr. Baker, what is it?
I hate to inform you with such horrible news on such a beautiful day, but something has occurred with the RMS Lusitania, sir.
Excuse me?
This afternoon at precisely 2:10 p.m., a German U-boat launched a torpedo targeting the Lusitania, sir. They struck the starboard side, and with another explosion following.
What? That's outrageous.
Please, sir, there's more.
All right.
The ship was not able to handle that much impact, and in 18 minutes it was gone, even though there was more than enough lifeboats.
How many casualties?
It is estimated that of the 1,959 souls aboard, about 1,200 are dead, including over 100 who are American citizens.
Well, this is much unexpected and sickening. What caused it to be targeted?
The London authorities knew of a possible threat to the liner. They did not think anything of it. The lookouts did not spot the submarine, but saw the torpedo until it was too late.
Weren't they ordered to travel at top speed and make zigzag movements?
Yes, and they were cooperating with orders until this morning, when there was a heavy fog. The watchman off the coast of Ireland spotted the explosion and sent rescue boats.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Send in for my secretary. There are a few things I need to address before speaking with Germany.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, I'm afraid not.
Yes, Mr. President.
President Wilson was speechless, but knew that he must inform his people and warn Germany that there would be consequences of their actions that they had just taken. As most of the passengers of the RMS Lusitania sadly did not survive, those who did were brave and courteous enough to speak with us to inform what it was like on the Lusitania. Mrs. Thomas, also known as Martha Ann Burlock, was one of the few American survivors, and she is here today to tell her story.
Hello, Mrs. Thomas. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So, can you tell us what the Lusitania was like before the attack?
Well, I was only 14 when I was on the ship, and it was a grand old ship, very clean and crisp. Everyone on it was very nice, and the
The ship made you feel very safe, and we were on our last day when the torpedo hit, and it was like any other day, and the ship was the fastest thing in the world, and I wasn't scared at all.
Now, what was it like when you felt the torpedo hit the ship?
At first, I didn't understand what actually was happening until the explosion went off. Then I knew that we were in grave danger and something was very wrong.
What was it like when the ship was sinking?
Well, it was extremely chaotic, for one thing. Everyone and everything was everywhere because everyone wanted a life vest and a lifeboat, but no one cared if a lifeboat wasn't ready. They'd just jump into it, and I felt bad for the crewmen because they were trying so hard to keep everyone calm and even themselves calm, but they already knew that they were going to die.
What did you do to get to safety?
Well, my mother found me with an extra life vest, and we went to go to the lifeboat, but it was already full, so we had to go find another one. But I got separated from my mother, so I went to go find another one on my own, except the one that I found was already full, and so as I was trying to get around, I ended up getting pushed off the boat and into the water. And once I hit the water, it was very cold, and I couldn't feel my legs or any part of my body because it was so cold. And so I, knew that I had to keep swimming to keep myself warm. So I swam farther away from the boat, and and then when the boat actually started to, sink faster and faster, the water, there was like tension in the water that I felt like was going to be tugged under. So I had to go and swim even farther. And then, after the ship was actually sunk, I think about an hour, lifeboats had come back to see people, to see if anybody was alive, and I waved and yelled, and they pulled me in to keep me alive from the water.
Wow. After that, what happened?
Then we got to the shore, and there were people from the shipping company that took care of us. They took our name, our age, our country of origin, and whom we were traveling with, and they grouped us accordingly. And if they could find any of our relatives, they would group us together. Sadly, none of my family had made it, so I spent my time alone.
Wow, Mrs. Thomas, I'm very sorry to hear that, but thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Now, as the World War proceeds, we know that the RMS Lusitania is gone, but won't ever be forgotten for all of those who were innocently murdered on the Atlantic. As there will be more and more struggles and terrors as the fight moves on, we cannot lose hope in that one day all the fighting will be over and done with. As of now, we must honor all of those who have fought and died for us. This was your Witness to History News with the latest real news from your host, Paige Clark, to the world.